Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. And look who we have here. It's Mr. Brian Griffin.
Hiya folks. It's good to be back. Young Vaughan here. Brilliant.
Brian, hi. Guys, a lot of you have been asking what's happened to Brian, and I thought we would just have a beer and we'll call it a beer with Brian. And let's just find out what you've been up to, Brian. So I see you sporting a really rock and roll hairstyle there at the moment.
Yeah, I am, by accident, by the way. By accident. I'm sporting it. And, I mean, what do you think? Do you think it looks good?
Well, actually, Brian was saying to me earlier on, saw you a couple of days ago, and he said, oh, I really need to have a haircut. And I said, hang on here, Brian, look, I'm no fashion icon, as you guys know, but I think it looks great. I mean, I think it's really rock and roll. So I'm going to put it down to you guys in the community, and maybe to the girls, to the ladies especially. What do you think? Should Brian cut his hair, or do we like the rock and roll look?
I really look forward to your answers, ladies. I really do look forward to it.
You know, and he can say that without sounding sleazy, which is great. Brian, first of all, let's just have a toast. It's
oh, right. Oh, good. Cheers.
Cheers. So, Brian, you, as I say, a lot of people have been asking where you are. Tell us what you've been doing with the lockdown and how you've been keeping yourself busy.
Well, what I've been doing really is writing my life story. No, seriously, I'm writing volume 2 of my biography, of which volume 1 was called The Black Kingdom, which you can still buy on Dowie Lewis Books. But this is now volume 2. This is when I first went to art college in 1969, and it covers the years, the 70s, and then in the 80s when I moved down here into Rotherhithe, when I worked on Depeche Mode. It covers all the ins and outs and all the weird stories and all the naughty stories of my younger years and what I got up to. And I got up to quite a bit, actually. I've had to cut some of it out because I want, I don't know. I want photography students to enjoy it, really. I don't want to influence them too much in the bad ways that existed in the 70s and 80s.
Well, you say that, Brian, but the industry, not only photography but music and the world in general, has changed so much. I really think, as I say, it's a lot harder for artists these days.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I got up to all sorts of tricks. I got up to all sorts of events. Well, all sorts of events happened to me. And also, of course, working with so many bands, and you can just use your imagination what it was like. I mean, we got up to quite a few things. But apart from that, it talks about the technical side of photography, talks about the special effects, how I put all those together, how I put my own way of seeing, my own way of photography together, how I looked at the world in a different way to everybody else. And so therefore people who are really interested can find out how I did that by buying the book. Well, by the way, I haven't told you the title, have I? It's called Black Country Dada. Black Country Dada, i.e. because I come from the Black Country. Dada because of the art movement that developed out of Switzerland in the 20s, early 20s. And it'll be published next year, and in April next year the book will come out. But I think it's about 300 pages long. There's a lot of written material in it, you know, a lot of stuff about I've written. That's what I've been doing in lockdown, writing day after day after day after day after day, this book. At the moment it's in design. We're designing the book, and yeah, and then we're going to Kickstarter it. Okay. Yeah, which Vaughan will keep Vaughan in touch when we Kickstarter it, so he'll be able to push it on his channel.
Absolutely, Brian, and I'm sure, as you know, I will support you, and I'm sure my community will support you in any way they can. But as I say, a lot of people moaned about the lockdown, and it's I don't want to make light of this coronavirus. I don't want to make light of this coronavirus thing. It is terrible, but there are a lot of people who've managed to harness it in a positive way. As I say, like yourself, I think we just found it was because we couldn't do anything, it was a great time to really sort of focus on one thing. As you've done with your book. But now, as I say, guys, information. Brian is, as you know, Brian's a regular, and I promise we will have you on more frequently. As I say, I think we've just both been so busy. But Brian's an interesting one. Every time you have a drink with him, we were just sitting here having a drink, and he just comes up with new things all the time. So I was thinking, okay, well, let's film this, grab a beer. Brian, let's just talk about a few things coming forward on the channel that we're going to talk about, because you did obviously photograph Midge-Ure, Ultravox, Echo and the Bunnymen. And of course, one of my personal favorites was Kate Bush, which are things we're all going to be talking about. And of course, what you guys are knowing, all looking forward to is the Only When I Lose Myself music video. But so really, Brian, with this lockdown and everything, how has it affected you personally? If you don't mind a personal question.
Affected me well. I mean, as you know, photography is very physical. You have to get close to your subjects, and that was very limited. It was frowned upon, obviously, so it didn't happen. So I didn't have any subjects to photograph. You might say, why not photograph them at a distance? But it's you have to photograph people how you want to photograph them. You have to have the freedom of choice, your freedom of creative choice how to photograph people, not be restricted. So therefore, I didn't really take a lot of photographs over that period. I just bedded myself down. What was really interesting about writing my book was what to put into the book that might cause a little bit of trouble,
Well, Brian, it's as we talked about it last time when Simon was here. It was kind of like I think Simon said you've got to know how much dirt to dish and what not to dish, because you want to make the book interesting, but of course you don't want to burn bridges and sever relationships. So how do you, as you say, you've had to edit some of that out. So how do you get around that?
Well, people have to use their imagination, really. In some cases, there is could be a juicy thing regarding Kate Bush, really. It's not a sexual thing, not at all. But it was an experience, and I had to sort of circumvent it, but still sort of suggest it. I had to suggest that with some very, very famous people. I mean, not only musicians, but just really world personalities, where I had to suggest it. Just use your imagination, to circumvent it. I didn't want it to be. I didn't want it to be a book that would reach the Daily Mail or anything. I didn't like that sort of book. It's a book, a respectful book, and it treats everyone, all the personalities with tremendous respect. Really, they were young at times. And they got up to things.
Brian, you're a very kind, really kind, dignified man, and I was asking Brian the other day because I've been doing this YouTube thing for not too long now, and it's going reasonably well, but I've been I've had my share of haters, as you do, and I was asking Brian, I said, Brian, how do you deal with haters? And his answer to me was something like, you've never had a hater, you've never had anyone attacking you.
No, I've never had anyone publicly attack me. Probably these are strange times, these shutdown times, these sort of slightly opening times. Maybe somebody will come out of the woodwork and say something. People, I don't know, they get very, very different during these enclosed times. But I can't think of anything people would get me for. I really can't. I've tried to keep myself, can we say, not upsetting anyone ever in the industry. Very important, I think. I really do feel I've kept myself chained in a way.
Well, Brian, I mean, this is just my brain's jumping now to one of the stories you told me was you had to, I think, refuse Talk. I think they came to your studio for a photo shoot, and you had to, I think, ask them to leave. Is there anything you would care to elaborate on that?
Not really. I mean, what it was, I mean, they're an amazingly talented band. I mean, probably one of the greatest albums. They produced one of the greatest albums of the 80s, without a shadow of doubt. I feel they were... They may not have been tripping, but it felt like they were anyway.
No, it was just funny because, I mean, I've known Brian for a long time, and I can't, there's that expression, wouldn't harm a fly, and I don't mean that in a nasty way. It's just, I've never ever seen you, and you've been through some challenging times, and I've just never seen you, lose your temper or lose face with anyone. You're always really kind. So I mean, obviously you're human, so sometimes you obviously boil up inside. But are you fundamentally just a very naturally calm person, or do you just control yourself better than others?
I think when you're a photographer and you're trying to get the best out of your subject, you train yourself how to really contain yourself to the nth degree. Really, you just contain yourself. And you use all your energy and all your focus to get the best possible photograph out of the situation you're confronted with. So you don't really show any emotion. You just really contain it and then get the very best out of the situation you're in, and don't really lose your temper whatsoever, because it just never gets you anywhere. So therefore, what I'm actually saying is that for so many years I've done that it's rubbed off on me, as a person. I am like, I've been bred as a photographer, I'm like, photography has made me,
Brian, as I say, guys, this is just really off the cuff, so we haven't sort of decided what we're going to talk about or what we're not. But something that did come up just before lockdown, Brian, I think you posted this on my Facebook group, was the... and this is the fascinating thing about Brian is, so many things just come up because he's done so much. But Brian, you showed us some artwork which I'd never seen before, which was was it Speak and Spell? Was the White Swan? I'm going to have that pop up on the screen. Could you tell us more about that one, the White Swan?
Yeah, that was the first album, and obviously, if you're working on something, you let ideas flow. Really, I mean, I did obviously the cover and the black and white version, which we've also got on your channel, Vaughan, which are basically the cover. Yeah. But then again, I had some time to spare because the swan didn't move. It wasn't alive, you know what I mean? It was like just would stay there forever. And I got it on, what can we say? I rented the swan from a taxidermist. And so therefore I could do some other photography of it. And I did do some other photography of it, which I'm going to offer one. I think of a classical image actually of the swan, totally different to what we have at the moment on your channel, aren't I? In the future.
Thank you, Brian. As I say, I'll have that pop up on the screen. But there was also another image which really, and this to me just really made I got chills when I saw this. And you guys are obviously familiar with the Some Great Reward album cover, the round oak steel works, with a wedding couple. And I'm going to have this picture appear on the screen now as well. Brian, that was it was one of the only behind the scenes photo taken of you off that photo shoot. And what's so iconic about this is that we can actually see the round oak steel works, and we can see the wedding couple, but we can also see you in that photo and your assistant, I think.
You certainly can. I didn't know it was being taken. I think it's a second assistant or something took this photograph of us. There's myself. There's my assistant. There's the two models. And then there's Jackie Fry. Jackie Fry was the stylist on a lot of my album sleeves. She did A Broken Frame. She styled the Russian working woman in the cornfield. She styled her, and she also styled the Construction Time Again model, you know. And she's in the shot as well. And we're overlooking the steelworks, the location. When that steelwork existed, it does not exist whatsoever anymore. It's completely gone. I visited it very early this year, actually. It's completely disappeared, completely gone.
Well, Brian, there's so many fascinating stories. But guys, I just want to let you know that Brian has been invited to be a special guest on the Depeche Mode Global fan group, which is run by Rob Rom on Facebook. And Brian and I will be on that together. Now, as I say, Brian, I had my chat with the group last week. I think we were on there for about 6 hours. Don't worry, Brian, we won't have you for 6 hours. So this time round, Brian has graciously accepted to go on to it. So it's really going to be, when I say it's featuring Brian and I, it's really featuring Brian, and I'm going to be like Fletcher. I'm just going to bum around, so to speak. But that will be on August the 8th at 1 p.m. Pacific time or 9 p.m. UK time. And all the information will be revealed in due course. Brian, you looking forward to that?
I certainly am. It's a new thing. I don't know this channel. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's fascinating with the Zoom thing, how you can have an interview with, I think the Zoom platform allows up to 100 people. So basically, guys, if you want to ask Brian any questions, you can get the chance to ask him in person. And Brian's also going to be giving away 3 of his original poster prints that we sell through this channel, but he's actually going to be giving 3 away. We're going to be doing a competition draw. All the information you can find on the Depeche Mode Global fan group on Facebook. As I say, check them out and join us for this drink and chat with Brian and I. Brian, is there anything else you would like to say before we wrap this up?
Well, I'm glad we've got together again. This is really good. It's been a long time, and it's nice to meet you again, Vaughan. And and then I look forward to this big chat.
Absolutely, and as you see, we've had to have a bit of social distancing at play. That's why we're doing it on the rooftop here. But Brian, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. And thank you so much once again for everything for all your time and always being so gracious. And I look forward to seeing you on the next interview.
Thank you, Vaughan. It's been a pleasure being with you.
See you later, guys.